We all love a good scare. The thrill of a jump scare, the creeping dread of a ghost story whispered in the dark, the unsettling feeling that lingers long after the final page is turned or the credits roll. Horror, in all its forms, is a beloved genre, a safe way to explore our deepest fears. But what if the stories we consume for fun are rooted in something far more sinister than fiction? What if the most terrifying tales are the ones that are true? Tonight, we pull back the velvet curtain of the horror genre to reveal the chilling, often tragic, real-world events and dark psychological facts that inspired the nightmares we know so well. This isn't just about monsters under the bed, this is about the real monsters that walked among us, and the dark corners of the human mind that gave them life. Prepare to see your favorite horror stories in a terrifying new light, because the truth is often more frightening than any fiction. The name Anneliese Michel may not be familiar, but her story is the terrifying foundation of one of the most influential horror films ever made, The Exorcist. In the early 1970s, this young German woman became the subject of a harrowing, year-long series of exorcisms sanctioned by the Catholic Church. The documented events are far more disturbing than any Hollywood depiction. Anneliese did not just speak in guttural voices or levitate, she exhibited extreme self-harm, consumed insects and coal, suffered from convulsions so severe they broke her bones, and could allegedly recite passages from the Bible backwards, a feat she had no prior knowledge of. Her desperate parents and priests attributed her condition to demonic possession by 6 distinct entities, including Judas Iscariot and Nero. The official recordings of the exorcisms, which still exist, capture the sheer brutality of the ordeal, a cacophony of growls, screams, and prayers that lasted for months. The tragic end, however, is the darkest fact of all. In 1976, Anneliese Michel died of starvation and dehydration, weighing a mere 68 pounds. Her parents and the 2 priests were later convicted of negligent homicide. The real horror of this story isn't a spinning head, but the devastating intersection of profound mental illness, extreme religious fervor, and a young woman caught in a nightmare from which there was no escape. Her case remains a sobering reminder of the very real human cost that can underpin a supernatural legend. Why do we willingly subject ourselves to fear? The answer lies in the dark and complex wiring of our own brains. When we watch a horror movie or read a terrifying story, our bodies undergo a genuine stress response. Our amygdala and hypothalamus activate, flooding our system with adrenaline and cortisol, the same chemicals that would prepare us to fight or flee from a real predator. Our heart rate skyrockets, our muscles tense, and our senses heighten. This is a controlled dose of terror, safe danger, that allows us to experience extreme emotions from the comfort and safety of our couch. Psychologists call this phenomenon excitation transfer, where the arousal from the fear seamlessly blends with the relief we feel when the threat is revealed to be fictional, resulting in a potent, even euphoric, high. But there's a darker side to this craving. For some, horror can be a way to rehearse for real-world anxieties, a simulation of survival in a chaotic world. It allows us to confront mortality, the unknown, and the concept of evil in a manageable format. However, this exposure can also desensitize us, blurring the lines between fictional violence and real-world suffering. The dark fact is that our love for horror is a complex dance with our own primal instincts, a flirtation with trauma that can both fortify and fray our psyches, proving that the most effective horror story is the one we tell ourselves. The tropes of the modern slasher film, the isolated farmhouse, the quiet, disturbed killer, the gruesome trophies, can be traced directly back to the horrifying reality of Ed Gein. In the 1950s, this unassuming Wisconsin handyman was discovered to be one of America's most macabre murderers. Upon investigating the disappearance of a local woman, police entered Gein's squalid farmhouse and uncovered a scene of such profound depravity it would sear itself into the national consciousness. The house was a gallery of human remains. They found a box of preserved human noses, a belt made of female nipples, a soup bowl fashioned from a skull, and lampshades and furniture upholstered made from tanned human skin. Most infamous was the woman suit, a full-body garment crafted from the skin of his victims, which he would wear to become his deceased mother. Gein confessed to murdering 2 women, but he was primarily a grave robber, exhuming recently buried corpses from local cemeteries to furnish his ghastly crafts. The dark fact here is how directly his real-life atrocities inspired a genre. Norman Bates from The Psycho, Leatherface from The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs are all fictionalized reflections of Ed Gein. His story proves that the most iconic movie monsters are often pale imitations of the true monsters who walk silently among us, their horrors too real for any screen. Before they were sanitized for children, fairy tales were repositories of collective terror, dark parables born from famine, plague, and societal fears. The original versions of stories like Snow White, Cinderella, and Hansel and Gretel are brutal survival manuals steeped in horror. In the Grimm brothers' first edition, the evil queen isn't just jealous of Snow White, she is commanded by the king to dance to her death in red-hot iron shoes. Cinderella's stepsisters mutilate their own feet to fit the slipper, and in some versions, birds peck their eyes out as punishment. Hansel and Gretel is a stark narrative about child abandonment and cannibalism during times of extreme hardship. These stories served a grim purpose. They were warnings whispered to children about the very real dangers of the world. Don't wander into the woods, lest you starve or be eaten. Beware of stepparents, who may see you as a burden, and understand that the world is a cruel place where happy endings are hard-won, if they come at all. The dark fact is that these tales are historical documents of human suffering. They are the fossilized fears of generations past, reflecting a time when infant mortality was high, starvation was common, and life was cheap. The horror wasn't supernatural, it was the chillingly mundane reality of simply trying to survive another day, a truth far more terrifying than any witch or wolf. So the next time you settle in for a horror movie or crack open a terrifying novel, remember that the chills you feel may be more real than you think. They are echoes of true crimes, reflections of deep-seated psychological fears, and the ghostly whispers of our own dark history. The most profound horror isn't found in a script or a book, it's etched into the very fabric of our reality. What other dark truths are hiding within the stories we tell? Let us know in the comments which real-life horror story chills you to the bone. And if you dare to keep exploring the shadows with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.